May as well record this just in case, huh? What's
For
going
sure.
on?
Oh, not much, man.
Traveling at all or running around or what?
Like crazy. It's probably one of my heavier travel years ever.
Is that right? You doing any
Yeah.
overseas or all in the States?
No, this year was 100% domestic, but I got a bunch of stuff planned for next year for overseas travel again.
Yeah, I haven't done an overseas thing. I came back from Egypt March 4th of 2020,
Yeah.
and that was it. That was my last overseas business trip.
John,
And then I took my wife and daughter with me to Norway in August, but that was all vacation time.
that's fun. Oh, I love that part of the world. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's great. I think we're going to go back. We really want to catch the Northern Lights, and I guess they say Norway is the place to do it.
Absolutely.
So where are you? What's your plans for next year?
Oh, I mean, just between all the distributors that I have to visit that I haven't seen in 2 years, right? I mean, I got them in uh Oceania, so you got Australia, New Zealand, all through Southeast Asia, and then a bunch in Europe.
Nice. I
Yeah.
would trade spots with you in a heartbeat.
I was
I
going to
would.
ask you if you were going to FESPA Eurasia.
Um, I didn't get invited this time.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't done anything with FESPA in a number of years now. When you and I did that show in was
Yeah.
it
That was years
Hamburg?
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I did go to the show after that, but after since then, FESPA as well as some of the others really have cut down on screen print a
Yeah.
lot. Um, they've basically jumped on to digital because when you go to the show and you look at booths, um,
Yeah.
booth size is pretty easy to figure out. If you've got a digital situation, those booths are monsters between Epson and Mamaki and all the rest of those. Then you look at screen
Absolutely.
print, and you've got M&R, you've got Rock.
Yep.
That's it, and then you're done. And although they take up a decent amount of space, nothing compared to the others. And
No.
so screen print is basically, even though screen print was the thing that got all of those organizations going, it's pretty low on the totem pole right now.
Unbelievable, isn't it? It's
And
crazy to
this
watch.
the funniest thing is, screen print still makes up 95% of what goes on the textile side, as opposed to digital.
Yeah.
Yet, digital has the money.
Don't, I mean, just look where everyone's spending their marketing dollars, right?
Yeah,
With M&R pushing Polaris, with Rock pushing the Now, I mean, they're
yep.
all pushing digital, and it's still, like you said, I mean, I don't know the percentages of sales it is relative to their companies, but I bet it doesn't cross 20%.
Well, not only that, but each one of those sales is a big number. And so, as far as their books are concerned, it may not make up a big percentage of what goes on, but it is a big hit on the number on the top end.
Yeah.
And a lot of the companies want that top end to be pretty strong.
Yep.
Bottom end, you know, I'm not. I mean, um, I have no idea what kind of percentages they're involved with, but at the same time, um, you got to sell a whole hell of a lot of little manuals in order to make up that number that one sale of like a Polaris can do.
Yeah, and the digital margins has always been super healthy. I know when we were doing eye images, it was, it was a healthy margin in that because I think for a long time and probably still going forward, all the digital technology needed a lot of support, right? It wasn't just the sale and walk away. Like if, M&R sells a sportsman, they can pretty well install that thing and walk away and it's going to run forever.
Correct. And I totally agree. I think that's the biggest thing is when they make a sale digitally, they do have to support it heavily. I
Yeah.
don't think they're giving away that support though. I mean, I think you still have to pay for that
No,
support,
absolutely.
which still makes up a big chunk, and
Yep.
like you say, when you sell a textile press and support. hardly ever. Yeah,
Yep.
something goes wrong, you have to call in, but it's not a constant situation, and it's not
No.
evolving the way the digital market is evolving.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, always interesting when you're involved with one particular side and not the other as much.
Right.
How things come together. You on the chemical side, are you guys doing
Yeah.
anything with the digital market in terms of chemistry in that direction?
Yeah, I mean, because most of it's driven by water-based inks, we have some stuff coming out, and have had some stuff come out in the last year that's, geared more towards cleaning that stuff up. It really depends on how the customers handle that stuff, though, because if you clean your screens as soon as they get off press, you can do a majority of it with water and then just use a little haze remover, but if you let the stuff dry, it's where it gets a little bit trickier.
I'm
And
sure it's
so
a
we're
lot.
coming out, we're coming out
Uh,
with some stuff for that.
So
well,
are you
I
saying
even
you're
on the screen for inside, water base is definitely jumping higher and higher in terms of percentage of companies that are doing it. Where 5 years ago there were a handful. Now everybody is playing a bit with it.
Well, I mean, you and I have seen a ton of it internationally, right? I mean, that's all we work with outside
Oh,
of the
absolutely.
outside of North America. It's just, we're coming along with it here more recently. And, I guess there's arguments to be made on both sides, whether it's greener, more efficient, and all kinds of other stuff. But it's certainly becoming a trend because of how it prints.
It is, and as far as the impact, as far as is it really environmentally safer? It still has resin. I mean, whether you're doing plastisol, water-based,
Exactly.
uh, silicone,
Yeah,
it really doesn't matter which of the systems you're using. You still have to use a filtration system in order to capture the resin. Otherwise, you're not safe at all. The fact that it says water uh, doesn't
correct.
make it safe, not even a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yep.
But for
hey,
those who are
I have a
selling it,
question for Alex when you have a second.
huh?
I have a question for Alex.
No, no questions today. Go
What's going
ahead.
on?
We use 701 right now, whether we use
Yeah.
plastisol or water-based or discharge. We've tried 601
Mhm.
and found it not to perform as well as 701. But
Okay.
we probably do about 75% water-based inks.
Okay.
Is that one meant to be better for a water base
So are you
or
using it as a ink remover or a stain remover?
stain remover?
Okay, so as a stain remover, either one of them, they should work fairly equally in that regard for you. If you're finding 701 works better, I would stick with that. We have some products called 630 and 680 that are meant to be used as ink removers on the front side of that process. I would probably start with the 630. Uh, it's driven heavily by surfactants and water.
So if we use either a spray bottle of water or the spray window cleaner to
Hmm.
clean out the screens after they're done,
Hmm.
is that 630 going to remove more of the staining in the emulsion that is on the screen?
It'll remove the staining out of the mesh or start to. The staining in the emulsion, are you using a diazo that's leaving some stain behind on the mesh, or what's happening there?
No, we don't use a diazo based emulsion on it.
Okay,
But like you'll see, like if we use a red or a navy, you'll see that color setting in on the emulsion side of it. It doesn't come out all the way. I
interesting.
guess is my thing. So when we wipe out the ink, we're not getting a complete clean screen outside of the stencil. It's still got some staining going on.
And have you done an exposure calculator to make sure you're exposed
Mhm.
all the way on it? That's
Yeah.
interesting that
We
your
typically
emulsion would be absorbing
we
that.
we typically run we don't have any problems running a big job like 500 to 1,000 pieces
Sure.
unless our humidity is too high. Then
Yeah.
we find that
Okay.
it starts to break down the little details and some halftones a little bit faster.
Yep.
But we post expose So I mean, that never really seems to be the issue. And I don't, when we reclaim, and put it in the dip tank to get the emulsion off, we
Mhm.
don't see that staining on on the mesh itself. It's
Sure.
just a surface stain.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the first place I'd go is under exposure, but if you're getting a proper exposure and post exposing, it's interesting. I'd probably want to look up the chemistry on the SDS of the emulsion you're using just to see why some of those acrylics and binders in that water-based ink would be absorbing into there. If it's not causing you any issues in the print run, it'd be hard to say to, you know, ignore it for now if everything else is working flawlessly for you.
Okay, cool. But you're saying 630 would
630 is a
be
great ink remover. It's that's what it was designed for, was to remove water-based ink pre
so after
reclaim.
you scoop it out of the screen, you use it on the screen at that point?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. All right. Is it
And if you, I
pleasant to
mean,
the nose?
yeah, it's got hardly any smell at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. It's almost like a shampoo aromatic type smell, to be honest, because it's heavily driven by surfactants.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Hey.
Now you can keep talking, Charlie.
Well, so my question to you is, how's your hip doing?
Oh, good. Yeah, it's been a month and 2 days. And
Terrific.
I'm not feeling it as much as just the standard nerve pain.
Sure.
But it's gotta get that bone melded to that new equipment now. So
Well, I'm scheduled for knee replacement on January 24th now.
oh man. The knees aren't that easy though, from what they
Maybe
say.
not. Well, I waited until the impression show is over, so it's over on the 22nd, and I go in on
Yeah,
the 24th. And
perfect.
I don't have another show until the end of February, so I'm hoping that
Nah.
gives me enough time to recover and be able to do the next show.
That's pretty
But
quick, man. I had a neighbor just get it done, and he was out for. I mean, he was hobbling after 4 weeks, and it took him 8 to get out of the brace.
well, I've got theater tickets for 12 days afterwards, which at this point, if I try and bail on that, then my next thing will be a tombstone. So I'm going to be making it to the theater whether I like it or not.
So let me give you a hint real quick. Go to your knee doctor, tell him that you need to get a temporary placard for handicap, and they'll give you the form that you take to the motor vehicle department, and they'll give you a placard for 6 months. That way you can park up front and not have to hobble, and you might just get a nicer seat when you go to the show.
Now, show's sold out. I mean, we've got the seats. I'm done with that. If got the show seats first, then schedule
Oh,
the surgery. But oh well, the way things go. In any
that's
event,
life,
moving on
right?
to another, moving away from the wonderful subject of that. Although, well, we'll see. Got to get one knee done first, and then I'll worry about the next one. In terms of recovery and stuff, hey, um, as long as they give me enough pills, I'm sure I can deal with it.
Absolutely.
And you're in Colorado, so I mean, you got other stuff that can help you.
Well, yeah, like snow and ice and all the other
Yeah,
wonderful things that go on in January, right? But
dispensaries.
well, it seemed
Right.
it's nah. You know what? Did too much of that when I was in college, and following college. So um, I'm not sure I'd go that way. But then again, who knows? Um, if the pain is there and I can't do anything else about it, I can always smoke it away. So what the hell?
That's right.
Um, so Alan,
Yeah.
your trips to overseas, you're starting
Yeah.
where?
Well, guilty. I'm a little selfish, right? I love F1 racing, so I want to see the second race of the year down in Australia. So I think I'm gonna go down and watch that Melbourne race and then work the week after.
Hey, matter of fact, what's Simon Clifford is another F1 fan. So
He is, yeah. I talked to him a lot about it.
I had a book that was given to me, autographed over to me from one of the heavies from Denmark. I guess whoever the I'm not an F1 fan, so I sent
Yeah,
Alex. I sent the book over to Simon.
yeah, that's awesome.
I mean,
He's watched it for quite a bit longer than I have.
well, never having been a real race fan, I guess I figured it would be nicer for that book to end up with somebody who really could appreciate it rather than it
Absolutely, man.
hanging out on my shelf
That's great.
doing nothing more than collecting a lot of, and it's one of those big books. I think that
Just the
it must
history
have,
of type thing.
I think the book weighed like 7 pounds. I mean, it was
That's a lot of
high
paper.
quality.
Yeah.
I worked with one of the guys. I don't know if you ever got to meet Ole. They call him Ole Sunshine. He was involved with all of the wraps at the Vespa show, and
Maybe. I don't believe so, though.
well, he's from Denmark, and so he also does some racing, but does all the car wraps for Audi and stuff, and is friendly with
Oh,
this
cool.
guy. So to one of the shows, he came back with 10 books for those of us involved in Vespa. So one of them was for
Yeah.
me, and it was like, glad that you brought the book. I'm sorry I got to take it home because it weighs so damn much. But anyway, I'm
Yeah,
sure that well, I know Simon's enjoying that book, so that's great. But,
absolutely.
so it's going to be Australia. I haven't been to Australia probably in 35 years. I did a job down there way back from a company that was called Phantom Textile, which then became Mambo.
Mm.
And Mambo had a big cult following for years.
Oh, cool.
And then the owner was a guy by the name of Dare Jennings, and his partner was Stuart White. And then Dare got out of it, I guess, and he makes motorcycles for the stars. So he does
Yeah,
custom bikes down there. I guess
crazy.
a lot of Hollywood personalities have gone down there and had to make bikes for them. I tried to get
See?
in touch with him, but didn't get much of a response at all. But he was an interesting guy. Back when I worked with him, he came to my shop in Brooklyn. So we're going back
Oh,
40
yeah.
years ago. Um, he would do an interesting thing. He would do 2 trips around the world every year. One starting and going to the east, the other one starting going to the west. He would take 2 empty suitcases with him, and then every day he would go shopping for ideas. And so he would buy shirts, whether they were T-shirts or not, didn't matter. And they didn't have to really deal with the subject matter that he was involved with, which was, surfing and windsurfing and uh, anything to do with boats, etc.
Yeah.
But he felt that in Australia there wasn't that much creativity, and so he would go and shop. And he was very serious about it. Everybody's, oh, I'd like to go with him. It's like, man, he would get up early in the morning and he would be out shopping all day.
Huh.
Uh, when he filled up the suitcase with enough ideas, he would have it shipped back to Australia to his art team, which would then take it and convert the imagery into things that were more pertinent to where he was. So I was with him after I went down there. I came back and we stopped in Hawaii. And sure enough, man, 8 o'clock in the morning, he was out shopping.
Ugh,
And like, phew,
that's
everybody
crazy.
thinks that it's such a fun thing to travel around the world and go shopping every day. And it's like, man, it was serious stuff. But it was
It's
an interesting approach.
yeah, I mean, the people glamorize the travel too, in the industry a little bit, I think. But, when you visit factories all day and then you're exhausted after you visit, factories that are hot and you go out to a dinner and by the time you're done, it's 10 o'clock at night, you miss out on a lot of the stuff, the sightseeing opportunities and stuff, I have a young family, right? So I don't spend a lot of time extra doing that. A day here, a day there, but otherwise I end up coming back.
Well, that's what I do. Whenever I go somewhere, I'd stick in an extra 1 or 2 days. And
Yep.
that was about it. But I remember when I went to Australia, like I said, it was a long time ago. Dare's mother came down to take care of us. Um, and I remember coming back and she had done my laundry and she said, when I was ironing your t-shirts, this sticky stuff got stuck on my iron. But
Oh,
everybody did water-based down there, and of course, my t-shirts
you
were
had
plastisol,
plastisol,
and
yeah.
so she was ironing them. I don't know how many of them she ruined, but it was
It
humorous. I
was
mean,
enough.
it was nothing that I could do anything about anyway.
I
But
love it.
I mean, I loved Australia. He was down on Bondi Beaches in that
Yeah.
area,
Yep.
and the only thing I can really remember was as the sun came up, the kookaburras would go ballistic. And I mean, you have no idea how loud those damn birds are until you're down
Hmm.
there. It's like, what the hell's going on? It's like, oh, kookaburras are up.
Man, that country has absolutely exploded. I mean, crazy, crazy money going into that country.
Hmm.
It's the real estate in downtown Sydney. I think before the pandemic, it was the fifth most expensive real estate market in the world.
Wow. Beautiful. I loved going there. I mean, I
Beautiful,
thought
yeah.
Sydney was amazing. And I thought the people were superb. Yeah, of course, they also do like to drink. So I got invited out to dinner
That's
from
right.
one of his clients.
Yeah,
And so he gave me his car, which was I think it was a Saab 5 speed, of course, on the wrong side of the
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
car. And I'm trying to shift with my left hand. I don't know if you've
I,
had to do that.
I
I
have,
drive a
yeah. And
stick, but shifting with a left hand was brutal,
and the
man.
gears are the same way, right? So instead
They
of pushing
are
away from you, you pull towards you.
exactly like, to go in reverse, you had to push away.
Yep.
And my left arm is not all that strong. And it was like, man, this is just not a whole lot of fun. Then
Oh yeah.
I'm going to make a turn, and it's like, do I make a tight left or do I make a loose left? I ended up pulling off to the side of the road for a moment to just kind of reorient myself.
Reorient. Yeah.
Uh,
For sure.
Brutal. But
Yeah. I'm
so
thinking
how
about God.
so I was friendly with one of the guys down there, Bill, older guy who owned a supply house. Trying to
Hmm.
remember his last name. Um, we actually hooked up again in China years later through FESPA. But I guess there's quite a bit of screen
Oh,
printing going on down in Australia right now.
tons. And I was shocked even till I would say 7 or 8 years ago, they were left alone pretty much. Uh, M&R got really lucky and got a really aggressive distributor down there. And he was very interested in how we were doing stuff in the US. So he started bringing tons and tons and tons of, you know, I would say North American based supplies down there, including ourselves. And I think it really changed the print market in the last
Uh,
decade, honestly.
I met some guys just before the pandemic from New Zealand,
Yep.
and theoretically was going to go and do some work with them. And of course, the pandemic hit. And, I mean,
Sure.
everything
Yeah.
just fell apart. So, all of the situations that were slowly moving along just came to a dead halt. And with a lot of them,
Yeah.
I think they just died completely. So, um, definitely interested in hearing what the Australian market is looking like now.
Well, they're finally coming back. New Zealand is coming back as well. I think they had a rough couple of years because New Zealand completely shut its borders. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
couldn't
they closed
in or
down
out.
totally.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
That was
But
interesting.
yeah, I'm wondering what the rest of the world is starting to really look like outside of the U.S. I mean, we're
Uh,
kind of looking at things
We're
as though
getting
the pandemic is over, which it's really not.
I mean, it's hard to quantify what over is. It's what level you want to, pay attention to it now, I guess,
Yeah,
because you're never going to get rid of COVID, right? So it's, how you want to handle it.
yeah, no, it's definitely there forever. There's no question about it. It just depends on how much it mutates and where you are with
Yeah.
it.
I would
But
say, finally, Southeast Asia is opening up. We just got our first couple of orders from a few of our distributors over there in 24 months that were, not just minor stocking orders, but, growth sized orders.
huh,
So it's good. I'm putting a trip together for 10 North American screen printers uh, to go over to Southeast Asia and go see all the printing that we do there, the table printing and all kinds of stuff like that, because none of them have ever seen it, right? And they don't know what low solids water base looks like that you can buy for, $2 a kilo. And like no one knows any of that stuff here. And so I saw a little bit what Gildan was doing, taking people through their factories in Honduras and to their headquarters in Barbados and stuff. And I said, well, we should do something like that and bring some printers over to Asia and let them see how the rest of the world prints.
It's funny. I mean, having done a fair amount. Hey, how are you, Farley?
I'm fine. I'm curious. Where are you heading in Southeast Asia? I'm from Indonesia.
I've been to Indonesia many, many times. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah, me too.
We're right now, I have it narrowed down to Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, and Indo. I probably have to pick 2 to 3 of the countries because otherwise it ends up being a 2-week trip, right? Just with transit times and flying and arranging the bus and all that stuff. So we'll see where it ends up. We're still in the beginning planning stages of it, but something along the, it'll very likely include Vietnam only because some of the larger textile factories from China have huge, huge plants in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to get the people into Vietnam than it is to get everybody visas to get into China.
Yeah, China is definitely a interesting one. Although
Yeah.
I haven't been to Vietnam because for whatever reason I just never got there.
Yeah.
Having gone to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka quite a number of times,
Oh yeah.
factories there are just monstrous as well. Of
Yep.
course, Vietnam has that new one that Ningbo put in,
Yep. It's
which
huge.
I can't even imagine the size of it based on what Ningbo has in China.
Yeah.
Getting Americans to understand table printing and stuff, it's just they can't comprehend it.
Nope, you got to go see it. That's why we're going to do
And they
it. You
can't
have
understand how fast you can actually work on the table. I mean, when I
Yep.
started out, I started on tables,
Yeah.
and we did all of our printing that way. We could knock out 600 pieces an hour. Of course, it did take 10 people to do a 6-color
It
job.
does, but when your labor's not the largest factor into it, it makes perfect sense.
Well, not only that, with a lot of the companies that they're printing for, the demands are such that we couldn't even do them in the States if they gave it to us. I remember being at one of the shops and they were doing a Puma job, which I don't know any company in the US that's ever printed Puma. Nobody
know.
qualifies based on what
No.
their needs are. What was
Yeah.
interesting was the guy was doing a high density job with the Puma logo, and he was doing it through 305 mesh because of the detail.
Oof.
And it was print flash like 6 to 8 times.
I was going to say that's a bunch.
Barely get a
doing-
rise, but he could hold amazing detail.
I'm doing
Where
that
here in the
like
States, somebody would have tried to do it with a 200 micron film, and it would have
Yeah.
failed miserably.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for Harley Davidson, like 12 times
Have you?
print flash, yeah,
Yeah.
for Harley Davidson Indonesia. So
Yeah.
I know how it's like.
It's
But
tough.
getting an American printer to see what goes on in any of those countries and seeing not only table printing, but even on automatics. I remember going into a shop, they had just gotten in a new, what was it, 16 color, 18 station press with 9 flash units on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, really? You got 9 flash? You paid more on your flash units than most people buy a press for.
Nobody remembers the press, but M&R built a press called the Encore while I was working there. And there's a couple of huge factories in Indonesia running it actually, down in Yogyakarta.
Okay,
And
Jakarta.
yeah, and they had it was automatic, meant for cut pieces only,
Yes.
and it was print flash cool, so it only had a print head every third station, and they were
Print flash cooling
massive,
station.
56 pallets. They were huge, but it was specifically designed for Asia and built for the cut piece market.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just trying to automate table printing, essentially. That's all it was, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and most of those big machines have been sold into the Asian market.
Yep.
Going to BMS, going to Johan's shop.
Yep.
Yeah,
He has what,
Thankful.
two of the big ones from rock.
He does. Yep.
And yeah, I remember when I was there, he had gotten in his first one. And to be honest with you, that was the first time I saw the 56 pallet machine. It's like tried to do a video of it. I ran out of space on my phone
Yeah.
trying to shoot a video, just walking up that one end and down the other end.
Yep. That's a great shop.
You know, oh, and I think he's one of the premier printers in the world. He's just a very quiet guy, but
Yep.
the stuff that he's produced has been off the charts.
He's on our list to visit if we go to Indonesia. The problem is like the traffic from Jakarta out to Bandung is just it's
So we did it the right way.
horrible.
Oh, we
Yes,
took
yes.
the train. The train is a 4-hour ride. It's
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay.
The
We have-
scenery
we have a
along
new
the way.
train.
I mean, I've got tons of photos, and to be honest with you, the train was fabulous.
Okay.
Next
I
year we
think
have a
we
new
did
train
drive
from
back.
Jakarta.
We
Oh,
did
really?
drive back,
Yeah,
but if it were me, I would from Jakarta, I would take the train.
Interesting. That's awesome.
we have a new train next year. It's only 2 hours from Jakarta to Bandung.
So it's
2 hours.
nonstop high speed, huh?
Yeah, high speed,
Wow.
yes, from China.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that beats the whole traffic thing. Of course, when you're in Vietnam, I guess you'll get to see what real traffic is like. And if you don't like it there, you can always go to Bangladesh.
I was gonna
if you
say
really
I've been to
want to see it,
Dhaka enough
Canada.
times. Dhaka has the worst traffic on planet Earth. It's not even comparable.
Which one?
Dhaka in Bangladesh.
Oh, it's
the worst
you know,
traffic on planet Earth.
and people don't believe it. You know, it's funny. I was invited to lunch at a golf course, and there was a golf tournament being sponsored by BMW, and so they had all of their cars lined up. Every one of them was a 4-door. They don't even show a 2-door car in that area because no one drives their own car. Everybody hires a driver.
Yep.
And so everything was 4 doors, which I thought was quite humorous. And of course, the guys who were driving, I mean, 1 foot on the gas, 1 foot on the brake, and it's insanity.
tough.
But I remember we said, "Oh, we're going to go to a factory that's close by. It's only a half-hour away." Yeah, 2 hours later, we showed up.
Yeah.
You know, you hear somebody's 5 hours away, you realize 5 hours away is maybe 25 miles.
Yeah. And I mean, but the amount of printing done in that country
It's
and the amount of
insane.
sewing is it's insane. It's another thing that nobody can comprehend because you think you're driving by apartment buildings, but they're
They're
all
not.
7-story factories. They're all 7-story factories, every
Yeah.
one of them.
I forget the name of the company I went to that's considered the biggest in Bangladesh. They have 2 buildings.
Yeah.
Well, the top of one is a whole garden, and it's where the CEO has a place, and he has his pigeons and stuff, homing pigeons. And I said,
Yeah.
you know, how many prints a day do you do? And and even if the guy was exaggerating, he said, we do 350,000 prints a day.
Yeah.
And
I believe it.
oh yeah, I'm not disputing. And even if he's
Yeah.
a little off, so he's only at 300,000 a day. You know, when you mention that to somebody in the U.S., it's like, come on, really? I mean,
Yeah.
are they really doing that? And the answer is, yeah, they really are doing that.
I mean, I don't know some of the factories in the States, but like a huge shop in the States is $1 million a week, right? They're 200,000 a day. Is a huge shop here. So them being 350, I believe all day.
Yeah, and I can't even tell you who in the States is doing 200,000 a day.
I've been to a couple of shops doing close to that, but I mean, they got to run 24 hours to do it.
Right. Oh
I mean,
yeah. No,
they just are.
I'm not disputing
Yeah.
that it can't. I mean, look, there are a number of shops here that have 25 automatics or more. And so certainly they have the capabilities,
Yeah.
but they
Crazy.
don't have the diversity that the shops overseas have.
No.
And Bangladesh now is the number 2 country in the world for garments behind China.
Yep. It
And I'm
doesn't
sure
shock me at all.
Vietnam is going to move even further up the ladder and take over that spot.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, even the infrastructure in Vietnam is so much better than Bangladesh that it would be hard for it not to.
oh, I agree. And you know, Bangladesh infrastructure it's miserable. When I was there, it's like, well, you have traffic lights. How come you're not using them? Oh, because the older people don't understand them, so they don't use them. It's like, really, you got them and you don't use them? Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome to Bangladesh.
Yeah. You just got a roundabout that's stuck for 2 hours because no one
Oh,
knows how to use the roundabout.
well, and you've got everybody who's on their putt-putts and on
Yeah, the tuk-tuks.
their bicycle ones, and there are thousands of them, and that's why you can't go very far.
Nope,
But
it's unreal.
always interesting. So are you doing much in the way of chemicals over there? I was gonna say you'd be fighting China, which I
And even then, to be honest, most of them just remesh because the print runs are so long and the mesh is so cheap that they just cut it and remesh. Uh, we're working on some things where I'm trying to make it cost effective to reclaim compared to
yeah,
remeshing. And it's almost impossible to use labor as a factor. The two things that they're going to look at are cost of the mesh, cost of the glue, and square feet.
yeah,
Square feet are very, very important to them because all the tables are horizontal, right, to stretch, and it takes up an entire floor in a lot of the factories. And if they can turn that into production space again, that means something to them. So
yeah.
those are what we have to look at when we try to develop something to reclaim, essentially impossibly reclaim screens, right? Because they harden both sides with acid. It's not something that's easy to do.
I think anybody from the US trying to sell into Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, uh, man, they've got their work cut out for them. You better have some
Tough.
killer pricing. You got to have an agent that is really aggressive. Because if they're not aggressive, they're not going to go and sell anything.
And it's to us, it's the price per screen, right? It's not even the gallon that you look at, and that's what you have to sell on. And it's a difficult concept to sell when everyone just looks at price per kilo, price per gallon, whatever you want to look at.
It was interesting when I was so I had Action Engineering send a bunch of double squeegees and roller squeegees over to, I think I was in Bangladesh at the time, and took them with me to the different factories I went to, and showed them how, like in one factory, they were doing a white triple stroke white flash, triple stroke white flash, triple stroke white flash, and then they were doing the other colors.
Yeah.
I said, let me do this. Let's put a double squeegee on and let's eliminate a screen and let's bring it down to a double stroke. And so we did. So we did a double stroke, print, which probably saved them, I don't know, 25, 30% time wise. And so we left it with them. And at the end of the week, and I did that at a number of factories, including one that was doing a Nike print of black ink on a leg print. And they were doing a double stroke flash, and then whatever other color. So, and it's for black. I'm thinking, why do you need that? And they said, well, it's got to be really, really black. Okay. So I see them at the end of the week. And I said, so what'd you think? I said, oh, they were great. I said, well, are you guys interested in buying any? No. So I was talking to the distributor there, and I said, I don't understand. If I can save them 25, 30%, or if I can boost their production by 25, 30%, why would they be interested in that? And I said, well, here's the reason. You're not dealing with the owner because the owners of the company are never at those factories for the most part. The people who are at those factories are the managing directors. Okay. And so managing director looks at this and says, that'll improve my production by 25, 30%. How do I explain to the owner of the company why I didn't do that sooner?
Yeah.
And so rather than going forward with it, they eliminate it because the owner's already happy with what they're getting in the way of production and the way of bottom line dollars. And so rather than putting themselves in an awkward position of trying to explain why they didn't seek out this situation earlier, they just eliminate it.
So I'm trying to do that, but
Hey, Christina, mute your phone, please.
There you go.
You were so loud. What's that?
I can't,
Oh, yeah, it
you,
was it's an interesting concept and why they wouldn't do that.
Anyway,
anyway,
Mr. Alex,
Yes, sir.
Alan, Alan Ho contacted me, and I'm endorsed by Unimed. It's one of Indonesia's largest ink manufacturer, and I gave the owner a link about EasiWay system,
Mhm.
and he asked me about how much I mean, he compared to the price that is available at your website,
Yeah.
and yeah, he was like interested if there's a more cost efficient price for the Indonesian market if it's available.
So we have some products like the 630 and one that we're going to be launching next year that are a little bit more cost effective than the 701 and 601 that we were talking about earlier. But the reality is we try to create products that are efficient and not so much cost effective per gallon. So we look at, your cost to reclaim per screen versus your cost of the gallon to reclaim that screen.
Okay. Okay.
What city are you at in Indo?
I'm in Bandung, where Johan.
Oh, you're in Bandung by Johan. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's but the ink manufacturer, they have like 6 stores across
Yeah.
Indonesia and a lot of resellers. So I mean, if I can ensure him that the EasyWay system is interesting to them, I mean, it's quite good that I introduce you to him.
Perfect. I would love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
did you know Farley at all prior to this?
No.
Nope.
Ah, okay. Well,
Alan
Farley
Ho.
has quite a following, and if
That's
you get to
awesome.
Indonesia, it's probably worthwhile, especially Bandung. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
jumping
once
over
we're
this,
already out there, why not, right? Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
I did years ago, before COVID, obviously, last time I was there, I did a couple of Instagram videos over at Johan's place. We set up some recirculation systems so that you could reuse the solvent over and over again to clean the mesh and
Okay.
show them how uh how cost effective our solvents could become while doing that.
Nice.
Okay.
I believe Johan has 2 of them, but I don't quite remember.
Here in Indonesia, mostly they use caustic soda and chlorine. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's competing against those cheap chemicals here available.
I saw guys using caustic soda, or they'll call it potash, whatever you want to call it, with their bare hands. They were
Yes.
scooping the ash out, mixing it with water, and scrubbing
Yes.
the mesh.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I was so taken back the first time I saw that.
Have you seen small
It's
shops in Indonesia? I mean, like
yeah,
small workshops.
yeah. I've seen I can't remember all the names that I've been to, but I would say I've probably been to somewhere around 30 shops in Indonesia.
Okay.
I travel with Union while I'm over
Union
there.
Ink.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Jeff and Thomas.
Okay. No, I don't know him. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're a distributor out of Jakarta.
Okay. For Rutland as well, right?
Yeah, they do Rutland. Uh they have their own line Union, EasyWay. They did M&R for quite some time.
Mm,
Okay. I see.
yeah. I haven't been to Johan's shop in many years now. I think I was there in 2015,
Yes.
somewhere around there.
Yes.
And I
In
know
Solo
back then,
and
huh?
in Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then I went to Jakarta, I went to Bandung as well, but um, I know since then he's added a bunch of equipment to his shop, and
Yeah.
has definitely expanded. I mean, I think he owns a little of every kind of a piece of equipment that there is.
Yes.
You
He's
Yeah.
know,
now quite big in digital printing as well. He's
Yeah,
now,
I saw him. He added a whole DTF section to his office area.
yeah, and now
yeah.
sublimation, and now the new one is DTF.
Yep.
DTF.
You
Mr. Fun.
guys doing, are you doing much in the way of anything to do with cleanup of any of the digital stuff? I know you mentioned something about water-based. DTF is
Yeah.
working with water-based or not? I have to admit, I haven't
So
kept up with
it
it.
like the DTF that's all digital, we have nothing to do with. That's
Yeah,
just
I
pure
didn't think.
digital. The DTF like Supercolor does, or a couple other guys where they screen print the back, that we have products to clean up, but it's the same way you'd clean up any water-based screen.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's
That,
certainly,
that
I don't know, I think the big opportunity for water-based is probably more in the US than anything else in terms of people getting into it.
absolutely.
Of course, they're so accustomed to plastisol that the switch from plastisol to water-based is driving a lot of them insane.
Yeah.
I'm kind of pushing the newer shops that are first coming in to potentially just jump right into water-based. And once they nail that down, they can move on to anything after that, and it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, Plastisol's, walk in the park, right?
That and always has been. The problem is you have too many companies and too many marketing situations now where if you're doing water-based, you definitely have an upper hand. And
Yeah, no
so
question.
learning how to handle it. How much are you finding in Europe? They're doing more water-based also, or are you finding that they're still doing a fair amount of plastisol?
I still think they're doing a fair amount of Plastisol.
I
I
was going to
mean,
say,
I would say they're doing more water-based in the US, but I still know that Avient is massive over there, and all of the distributors are selling quite a bit of Rutland and Wolflex still.
yeah, I really didn't hear much about Europe going water-based heavily, um, for whatever reason. I'm still puzzled personally by all of the ink companies that want to still come into the US market thinking that this is a great market. Um, the reality is when you go overseas to Asia, et cetera, when they buy ink, I mean, they buy massive amounts at once, where
Yeah.
here you're selling quarts and gallons more than anything else.
Yep.
And it's like, I guess it's just to have that US presence or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, I, I guess it depends on what countries you're at in Asia, but in the US, your distribution network is pretty key to everything still. Now that might change a little bit with the internet moving forward and stores being easier to create, but for a lot of the legacy business and a lot of the larger business, they want local support, and you can't do that without, distribution. People forget how, wide our country is. You can't just have, one place to buy it. You got to have local. You can take 4 or 5, 6 days to ship stuff across the country, and we have I guess Amazon's created a right now type mentality in a lot of people's mindset. So if you don't have your supplies local to somebody, it's very difficult to overcome.
How you finding that some of the distributors you're working with over in the Asian market and stuff are pretty well versed in screen print, or are they just more on the order taking side?
I I say I would personally have picked the ones that are well versed in screen print, uh, mostly for the ease of how we sell, right? Because we sell on the cost per screen basis versus the cost per gallon basis, and it's difficult to get an order taking distributor to understand that application versus just having the least expensive product available.
With a lot of distributors that I did run into, their technical knowledge was lacking, for lack of a
Sure.
better term. I
Yeah,
mean, it was like,
absolutely.
you know, uh, buy my product. Why should I buy your product? Well, I'm the cheapest on the market. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, how good is your product? Oh, it's really good, which of course means nothing at all. I mean,
Yeah.
from a technical side, they weren't able to really deal with anything that
We did in the Philippines, we used to do a lot of seminars for people, and we'd get 50 people a day for 3, 4 days in a row. I mean, hundreds of local printers all over Manila. And we were teaching them everything from, coating a screen to mixing ink to reclaiming to, I mean, just everything because they had nobody over there, literally nobody teaching them what to do. And this distributor invested in a huge, full automatic shop layout. He put a Sportsman in there, a Cruiser in there, showed them how to get away from table printing, use Rutland inks and EasiWay. And he basically only sold Western product and taught them how it was more efficient to use our print methods, even for their local shops. And it's worked out really well for them.
Yeah, I
What year was it? What year was it?
Oh, we did that probably from 2013 all the way through 2018 or 19, right before COVID, right? So
Okay.
5 years we did it. And we do it
Yeah.
once a year.
Yeah, every time I've gone to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we've done a seminar at the end of the week and kind of a recap, but also going through the whole thing of show and tell, what I saw, what I thought needed to be adjusted, some of the things that the shops were doing that were maybe more of a waste of time than anything else.
Sure.
I mean, it's difficult to watch somebody doing a triple print, flash, triple print, flash, triple print, flash, and that's just to get whiting down.
Yeah.
And then they're using water to open their screens up, which
Yep.
of course is killing their screen to boot. But then you tell them that there's chemicals that they could be using that can open it up instantly, and it's like, yeah, but how much do they cost? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
really? Okay.
You have to get over the mentality of we have to get rid of the labor cost mentality and just look at the pure time and square footage mentality. That's
Yeah,
really how we sell in Asia.
Yeah, well, you can't deal with labor costs because that just doesn't factor into anything.
Nope.
So
Nope, it doesn't.
Have you been doing seminars in Indonesia before?
We only did one, and it was at the trade show that's in Jakarta, I believe every 2 years. They have the textile trade show that's in Jakarta.
Intertex, Indo Intertex.
Intotex, yeah, exactly. And we did that probably, I forgot, somewhere around 2016 or 17. We did seminars there,
Okay.
but that was the only time. We will do it again when I come back around next year for sure.
yeah, I
Okay.
did the small show in Solo the first time I was there, and then I did another show in Jakarta at the
It
convention
was Indo
center there,
Intertex.
Yeah.
which has everything from screen print to all the machinery for
Yep.
manufacturing garments, etc.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm hoping to come back for that show. I guess the guy who I was dealing with is the son of the owner of the show, Paul.
Yeah.
Need to really dig out his name and stuff, but kind of a weird show because they took up a huge amount of space, but there weren't that many people really attending.
But the shops were fairly big that were there.
Yes.
We had a lot of the Chinese companies brought a lot of their equipment there because a lot of the Chinese owners were putting factories in Indonesia at the time. And so it only took a few. I mean, I was with M&R at the time when we were doing it back in the first time I think I did it was, I don't know, the early 2010s, 11, something like that. And that was my first introduction to the massive quantity of Chinese manufacturers of screen printing equipment that we have never heard of in the States. And they just don't need to, right? I mean, China's 1.3 billion people. Those companies just don't have to go anywhere else.
Yeah,
They don't
true.
need our business.
Well, having done a bunch of shows in China, it's amazing how many automatics they have and how many automated table presses they have.
Yeah. Or the
Which are
semi-auto
actually pretty,
manuals that do
I mean, they're
all
pretty
the
cool, actually.
rotation. Yeah.
We just,
Yeah.
But
Charlie, we
the
just,
amount of automatics that they have, and everybody says, yeah, but how good are they? And it's like, who cares? They don't worry about it. I mean, some of them are definitely pretty substantial and others are not. But they don't even go out of the Chinese market for the most part.
They don't.
When I was there, I think I counted 8 different oval automatics that were made in China that you've never seen outside of China.
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
finished Indonesian Apparel Production Expo last week.
Yeah.
the event that you attend, that you not host, that you were in Solo. Now it's taken over by Aulia's brother. You were but with Mr. Bambang and Aulia in
Right.
Solo. They are going to make another event, but I forget the date next year. I mean, our screen printing events are quite big currently. Like some months ago in Yogyakarta, there were like 2,600 screen printers attending, and it's a paid event, so it's not a free event. It's like
Sure.
$20.
And that was down in Yogyakarta.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Kenduri, Yogyakarta.
Yeah.
And in the 5th of December, there will be another big event. It's like estimated the event before COVID, it's like 3,000 screen printers. And now they are doing their 5th event in Banyuwangi near Bali, 5th of December.
Crazy.
I mean, it's well, I mean, maybe it's a big event and the sponsors are really big as well. So I think it's larger than Aulia's event, than Mr. Bambang's event, Printex. So I
Do you
mean,
see
maybe
do you see a lot of competition from the younger generation because of the internet in Indonesia?
yes, of course,
Yeah.
yes. It's now it's emerging. Small shops are emerging with yeah. Now what's in is Thailand table, those with double pins,
Hmm.
and it's really it's even my market in Bandung. Bandung used to be the capital of creative industry, so everything is done in Bandung, like
Hmm.
t-shirts, sweatshirts, everything. But now there are small shops even in Papua. Papua is really in the east of Indonesia. It's like it used to be left behind, and now from Sumatra until Papua, there are a lot. Like in my group alone, in my Facebook group, there are 130,000 screen printers members.
Wow.
Yeah, and mostly they are newcomers, but we teach them right from the start. We teach them simulated process color, and it's simulated process color, like 12 colors until 20 colors. It's common now, even done by small shops in Bali or Sumatra
Yeah,
or
yeah. All on
Celebes.
tables.
Yeah, all on tables,
Oh, yeah.
on those pallets, on those
Yeah.
we call them Thailand tables. So it's
Yeah,
not
Okay.
for cut pieces.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
It's for ready t-shirts, and the market shifts now from cut pieces. Now mostly screen printers are doing t-shirts. They're not cut
And
pieces anymore.
are they using Western goods or are they still using local sewn?
Locals,
Yeah.
mostly. Even inks now. Wilflex is really what do we call it? Shaking, not shaking. What do you call it? Yeah, I can say they lost the competition in
Yeah.
Indonesia with local inks. One of them that endorsed me is Unimed. They are doing back then the inks from Thailand dominated the Indonesian market, but
Hmm.
the downside is the opacity is too strong and they cannot do wet on wet. So it's like print flash, print flash.
Yeah, sure.
But now the Unimed ink, they really people who are using Wilflex are giving inputs to Unimed, and Unimed um, in comparison to other inks, the other inks they don't modify the inks asked by the screen printers.
Mm.
While Unimet is really doing what the market demands. So people who are doing like wet on wet printing, so they have inks for wet on wet. They have ink for opacity, high opacity inks. They
Yeah.
have processed color inks, and they have a huge distribution channel. They have stores in Bali. They have several stores in Java. They have stores in Sumatra. So
Are
it's
they, do they own the stores or are they just
They
distributed
own.
through local stores?
They have they own 6 stores across
Okay.
Indonesia,
Yeah.
but they have, yeah, distributors as well. I
Okay.
can send you the links for their website. It's
Yeah, please do.
tokosaber.es.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just find me on Instagram or you can send it to my email. Either way.
Okay. EasiWay. EasiWay.
Yep.
Okay.
My email's simple. It's just alex@easyway.com.
Okay. Okay. Will do.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Hey, Alex, thanks so much for being on. I think I'm gonna shut this
Absolutely.
down. I'm
Sounds
sure
good.
you have, sure you have turkeys to prepare for later in the week
Yeah,
or
that's it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm going out, man. I've given up on doing Thanksgiving dinner at home. Thanks very much. But
I'm
hey,
actually taking my oldest to Florida.
are you?
Yeah.
My daughter's actually flying up tonight, and we've got reservations. Unfortunately, they have prime rib on the menu besides turkey, so I'm a prime rib
Perfect.
guy.
Yeah. There
It's,
you go.
nothing against turkeys, but I can do without them. Thank you very
That's
much.
right.
But yeah, I don't blame you. At least you're living up in Wisconsin now or Chicago
Michigan.
area,
Michigan. Yeah.
Where I graduated Western Michigan. Where in Michigan are you?
Oh, did you really? I'm outside. I'm between like Lansing and Ann Arbor, is where
Okay,
the house is, and then I got 100 acres just north of Muskegon.
all right. Well, Muskegon, I remember I used to do quite a bit up in Muskegon when going back many years when Joey was up there. But I always loved going to Michigan. I mean, too many good times up there back in my college days. But in any
Oh
event,
yeah.
yeah, too many things that I probably shouldn't have done back then, but I did anyway. But who knows? In any event, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming out, and look forward to, I don't know. Well, thanks to EasyWay for sponsoring this anyway. They're
Absolutely.
one of my
Yeah, yeah.
sponsors. And I will have this on my website. So if anybody does want to view anything that we went through today, it'll be posted probably in the next couple of days. And I look forward to seeing you certainly in January, I guess.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Terrific. Hey, Sean,
Yes, sir.
do you want me to send you that? Do you want me to put that order in for the tape, or you were just wanting to get prices?
No, just checking if you're still doing it.
I am. Okay. Anything to do with these with PMI, I'm still involved with. So
Got it.
terrific. Farley, thanks again. See you hopefully next time.
Thanks,
Other than that,
Alex.
I hope all
Absolutely.
of you have a great Thanksgiving and see you. I have what's his name? Josh Caruth from Pretty United on December 6th. If you're interested in trying to grill somebody as to what the show is about and all the rest, that would be the time to be on. Other than that, you
That's
guys have a
definitely.
great one.
Talk to you soon.
Bye now.